Hey, I'm Roland with MobileGeeks.com and we're right here at JNS Technology from Shenzhen. They actually have their headquarters in Vancouver, Canada. And what we've got right here is accessories for Android tablets and also Windows devices. So this one is actually only a sample and they're working on it right now. They're all designing them themselves. So it's a pretty interesting company. So somebody might want to bring them over to the West. So what we've got right here is a wireless remote control for Android tablets and PCs too. So this has a D-pad right here. There's a mode switcher down here. You got the typical Android buttons right there. So there's a home button, menu button. You can turn off the trackpad. Back button and a search button. There's select and start over here and gaming console buttons right there. It connects through either wirelessly or through Bluetooth. So it's either 2.4 gig wireless connection or Bluetooth, which is also wireless for sure. There's a couple of media buttons down here, so you can play forward, backward, volume control, and it's a full size, or not full size, it's a tiny English keyboard on here. It's hardware keyboard, so you can actually type on it. It gives you a pretty good feedback, and actually I like this thing. It's supposed to be out in a couple of months under a different brand name for sure. They're still not, this is just a sample right here, and they're demoing it so they can sell them to manufacturers who want to sell them in the market. It's probably going to be out in retail for about $30, and they're not sure what, they can serve any operating system. So this one is for Android, for example. They put a Google logo on there, and there's also a Windows button down here, so if you want to control a media center device. And on this mock-up right here, there's no shoulder buttons, but they're certainly thinking about this. Another thing that's already working is this thing. As you can see here, it says brand. You can put your own brand right there if you want to import it. And this is totally gaming orientated. So it's got shoulder buttons up here, 2 of them on each side. There's a D-pad right there, which also works. Pretty nice. And there's a couple of joysticks down here, a couple of functions buttons, and the typical gaming console buttons. Let me just try if you can really race with it. Yes, you can. And it actually works pretty well. This thing is supposed to cost about $15 if it comes to retail in the US, for example. And yeah, they're working on it right now. The mass production hasn't yet started, or it just started a week ago, I think I heard. And yeah, it's a pretty nice device for cheap money, and you can have lots of fun with it. Now, let's go on. Just stop that right there. So this thing right here is actually a media control, so you can use XBMC on Android tablets or for Windows systems Media Center. It's working like an air mouse, so there's a gyro in there that actually tells where the device is connected, heading or pointing at. You can also use it for gaming, so you have a D-pad right here, a couple of function buttons over here, and there's a start button, there's a on and off button right there, menu button right there, select in the middle right here, a D-pad, a home button, and a back button, zooming buttons, and volume control buttons. These work also as shoulder buttons depending on which mode you're using it in. The next one up is this. So this is a totally combined device. It has a D-pad on this side, another one on this side. So these are the console buttons. Typical D-pad right here. If you press this button, it switches between a touchpad mode and a keyboard mode, so you can actually type on this or just control the cursor with it. And another thing is, if you turn it from off to mode 1, which is the keyboard mode I was talking about, to mode 2, which is the gaming mode, you can actually use it with a motion sensor in there for controlling games like Riptide, for example, or a racing game. It's more of a thing you would use with an Android-based smart TV, and it's probably going to cost about $25 if it ever comes to the US and in retail. This one right here is pretty much the same as this, except for this is way cheaper. It's about 20 bucks in retail. Has the same functions. The layout is not as nice as on this one, but it's pretty much the same. Also works through Bluetooth or 2.4 gigahertz wireless, and also shoulder buttons on there. They're all charging through micro USB, and yeah, pretty nice stuff. Another special thing is this. So it's got It's got pretty much the same functions as all the other ones. It's got a bigger keyboard on the back, and what's special about this is it has a trackpad on this side, so if you're typing you can still use the trackpad on the back, kind of like on the PS Vita. On this side we have the same stuff as on the other one, so there's a joystick right here, a couple of console buttons over here, media buttons on top and on the bottom, turning things off, switching from keyboard to touchpad. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I was rolling with MobileGeeks.com at JNS Technology at IFA 2012 in Berlin. See ya.